Where's that door? Okay. Okay. That got me again. Welcome everybody to another episode of Horrified Gaming Tutorials. Last time we were talking about Pro Builder. This time I'm going to show you all how to create a multi-layered jump scare. Now, it's very easy. It's not complicated. Well, it is complicated, but it's not too difficult. Creating a jump scare in Unity it's just a matter of programming events. And I've seen a lot of videos, talking about the standard big picture jump scare and all this other stuff. Um, I want to focus on more complex jump scares, like the ones I use in my game, The Deadly Maze, which, by the way, there is a demo out for. You can download that. I'll leave you a link in the description. So what I want to do is I've already set up the environment. As you can see, I've got a little scary zombie here. Um, and up behind here, I've got a skeleton, a casket, a little bit of lighting, but for the most part, we're dark. And I got a door here. So I've learned two ways to create jump scares in my games. And the first way, obviously, is to have something attached to the camera that just gets right up in your face. The other option is to have just something in the scene that is spooky or scary. Um, have a scary music track playing behind it, something like that. In this case, we're going to use both. So we're going to have something in the background, and you're going to focus on that. Your player or whoever's playing the game is going to focus on that. They're going to see that. And then the last second, we have that major pop in your face jump scare. So using something like this just helps kind of add that in-depth horror to your game. And you can take this in many different directions, whichever way you want to go. I'm going to go through the basics. We're going to animate the door. Uh, we're gonna attach this zombie to the camera. We're gonna set that up. We're gonna animate this skeleton a little bit, and then we're just gonna program everything to come together. So, excuse me. So why don't we get started? Step number one, obviously, is to get everything set up. You want everything in your scene set up before you start coding. You really don't want to start. You don't really don't want to code each specific element and then go back and do another. It just doesn't flow properly for me. The easiest way to do it is to set everything up in the scene, get everything ready, and then you can go through and do your programming and everything else. So, first step for me is we've got a little character controller here with two cameras attached to it. Okay. Well, we've got one right now, so we need to attach a second one. So we don't want to attach the second one to the first camera because we're going to disable one and use the other. So basically we'll take under FPS controller, we'll come in here and we want a camera, and we're going to rename this camera and we're going to call it Zombie Scare. So this is our Zombie Scare camera right here. Okay, so you can see the zombie in there. So now, excuse me. It is cold season. So right now I have post-processing enabled in my scene. Um, so I'm really not going to go into depth of all that, but it's for my visual effects. I just like to have it, so I went ahead and enabled it to make it look better for me, um, and to make it look better for you. So anyway, if you want to know more about post-processing and how to use that, I recommend the post-processing version 2 that comes with Unity 2018.2 and above, I believe. Um, and or I think it's 2.12 or something like that and above. Post-processing V2 is integrated within Unity, so I recommend that one. And there's an add-on that you can get called post-processing profiles. I think I only paid a couple bucks for it. Not that expensive. Um, and you can grab that, and they've got realistic profiles in there, um, and whatnot. So you can play around like with that, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for jump scares. Sorry, I went off on chasing a rabbit there. So anyway, now that we've got our second camera, we always want to set the near to 0.1. Because if we set that to too far away and we get that really up close in your face jump scare, you're going to see inside the model and it's just going to look hinky. And yes, that is a word, especially on this channel. So we have set that to 0.1, and I'm going to set the field of view down to about 45 to give you that real up close. And let's just do it text. A real up close and personal look. Okay? And you can see we're already getting closer to that zombie. Now he don't look too terrifying right now, but just wait. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this zombie here, if I can get him selected, and then we're going to, first of all, we're going to attach him to the camera so that wherever we are, he's going to spawn in the same place in relation to the camera. Now what we don't want to see that full view. And this is a trick I've already used in the Deadly Maze. So you will see a couple jump scares with this zombie in there. I guarantee it. And no matter how much you watch this video, it will still get you every time, I promise. So the second camera you can see is much lower than the first. Of course, with the first person character camera, it always comes set up at 1 or 0.0 or 0.8. Bleh, I can't even talk tonight. 0.8, and if we set this camera also at 0.8, then it's going to be right there. Now you notice that it pulled the zombie up with it because the zombie's already attached to it. But that's okay. We're going to adjust the zombie anyway. So we're going to push the zombie back down. Now we're going to pull him in just a little tighter. And then, oh no, we got to back him up just slightly. And you can see he's not very centered, so we're going to pull him over here just a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit better. But we're going to have to move him up. In. And, okay, there we go. We're getting better. So, down just a hair. In just a slight bit more. Oh yeah, that's up in your face. Now you can see he's gonna move up, over here. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's in your face. So now we've got him all set here. Now with this zombie, his animator comes with all these animations. I don't want all those animations. I just want one. So we're gonna delete the rest of these animations. He don't need to walk in place. He don't need to walk. He needs to attack, but he don't need to fall back. So we're going to set up attack. That's all he's going to do is attack. So, now that we got that set up, if we were to play this scene the way it's set now, you can see, yeah, he's attacking her. Ah, okay. So, get rid of that. Okay, so that looks like a good position to me. So we're just going to leave him alone for now. But what we are going to do is we're going to disable that camera. And I can't disable it from there. I keep forgetting that. Just uncheck that box. Boom, that camera's disabled. So we don't need that enabled right now. We'll enable that through our code later on. Okay, so now we've got our first person character. And now we've got our skeleton and our door. Well, in order for us to use this door, we've got to animate it. So we're going to do just a basic, simple, easy animation. And this easy animation is just a simple open rotation. We're not even going to worry about close right now because what we're going to do is we're going to have this door open automatically, triggering the jump scare. Kind of set the mood. So if we go over here, we're going to add a component. And we're going to go to miscellaneous. We need to add an animator. Okay. Now, first things first, doesn't have an avatar, so we need to build a generic avatar for it. Then we come over here, and I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to call this folder animation, just to keep our animations organized. So the first thing we do is we create an animator controller. Got to have a controller, first off foremost. And we're going to try call this controller door, not DAR. No, I don't even know how to pronounce that one. Door open. Well, that's easy to remember. I mean, tells you exactly what it does. Now, we're going to take and create an animation. We have to have an animation. Now, this animation we're going to call open door. Well, we're going to have the door open controller to open the door. So right now we need to take the door open and we're going to attach it to our door C. By the way, all this nice stuff you see in the scene here is courtesy of the Decrepit Dungeon Light free asset Unity store, Unity asset store. And it is pretty good. There is a full version available, so they have a link in the free version. I haven't picked up the full version just yet, but I'm probably going to because I'm going to need some more assets for the Deadly Maze, and these guys are top quality. Now, the casket isn't part of that, and the skeleton's another free asset, but this door is part of that, and I love their doors because they have the proper pivot point. So I ain't got to mess around with hinges. I ain't got to mess around with models. I'm a simple kind of folk here. I like to just do it. So we're just going to do it. So we're going to open up this animator, and we're going to come and drag that open door up in here. Now we have an animation. Problem is the animation doesn't do anything. But we're going to make it do something. So keep our door selected, our actual door, mind you. And then we're going to simply come down here to our animation. I've got it docked at the bottom because it's so much easier. And then we need to start a recording. So I want this door to open fairly quickly. So we're just going to do the 1 second, you know. So we're just going to click over here. I don't bother keeping it clicked here when I record because the only thing I'm recording is the end frame. Everything else will automatically go in. So, we're going to click record, and then we're going to take this door here, and we're going to put it at 0. Huh, look, first shot. That's 0. The door's now open. Now, if we check that, yep, the door opens just fine. Okay. So, now, I lied earlier. We do need a close animation, because we're going to have... Now, we're going to just open the door. Yeah, we're just going to open the door, walk through, trigger the jump scare. Okay. So, we've got the door open animation. That's set to go. You know, easy peasy lemon squeezy. But I do want to have a sound on it. So I'm going to add an audio component here. An audio source. And then over here, now I got this little sound online. I can't remember where. I'll leave a link in the description to it. I have it set in my credits for the game, so but I will leave a link in the description for these door sounds because they're absolutely fantastic. So we're going to take the open sound, we're going to drag that up to our door. So now that we've got the open sound up here, you know, right here, now we can play on awake because we're going to disable the audio source. Now here's the kicker, okay? Oops, I did that wrong. Well, let's delete this key, okay? So take me out of record mode, back to the beginning. Okay, now we disable the audio source. So now what we're going to do is we're going to record, and then we're going to enable the audio source. Alright, being a little butt, so we're just going to delete this key too. Get the audio source. Hey now, let's not play this game. Thank you. We get that deleted completely out of there. So audio source is disabled. Alright, record. And we want to enable the audio source, and that's that. So now disable, and it's going to open it, but it's going to keep it on. We don't want to keep it on. So we come over to the last frame, we hit record again, and we disable the audio source. So long story short, on, off, on, off. Okay, so we'll test that out when we get in game. Now, we do not want this animator to automatically run. So we want to be able to trigger this. So what we're going to do in that effect, since we only have one animation in our animator, we need to create a second animation to act as a placeholder. And I almost forgot that part. Okay, so we need a second animation, so we're just going to do it from here. We're going to create a new clip. And we're going to call that new clip. No, we don't want it in sounds. So, where's my... jump scare tutorial? There it is. And then we go to assets, and we want this in animation. Okay, so animation, we're going to call this door idle. So that's going to be our placeholder. Now we have door idle, and it's already got all the proper settings. Audio off. So now we're going to take and go up here, and we're going to change this to the default state. And then we got to create a little transition here. Come up here under parameters, and I know I could use a trigger, but I always like using Boolean values. They just seem to flow better for me. And the Boolean value for this is going to be, we'll do D underscore open, just to keep it simple. And that's our Boolean value. So we come over here to this transition. It does not have an exit time. No exit times allowed. D open equals true to trigger this animation. Now, just because I want to double check myself, and I've had this happen to me before, you create an animation and it loops like crazy. So we're going to check the door open, or open door, and loop time is not set, so that's a good thing. So we won't have it going open, 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 open. I hate that. Alright, so now that we've finished up with that, back to our scene, and select our door. So we need to put a script on this door. And this script is solely going to control the animation of the door. That's it. That's all it does. The rest of it is going to, or the rest of the script is going to call that animation, call that script. So this script is very simple. Create a new script, and we're going to call it door animation. Add that. And we're going to come over here, and we're going to edit that script. Yeah. We got to give Visual Studio a little bit of time to load. So I'll be back with you in just a moment once that's loaded. Okay, so my lovely Visual Studio has come up. I absolutely love this program. You're going to find I absolutely love a lot of things about Unity. So first things first. Come on now. Don't be slow. Get rid of that. I don't need little notes to tell me what's going on. In fact, probably going to get rid of a lot of this area here. Actually, no, we're going to use void start and update in this one. So just kind of make it more uniform. All right, so first thing we have to do, obviously, is call our variables. You know, standard scripting 101. So we're going to call the animator. And I have found that putting private, public, all that jazz for the animator just messes with the scripting. So just call animator. Plain and simple. And we're going to call it D-O-O, well, we'll keep it simple, D-O-O-R-N-M. And put your semicolon. I can't tell you how many times I have ground my teeth trying to figure out what's wrong with my script just to find a semicolon missing. And then we're going to call a public static Boolean value. Now the reason we call it static is because if we don't, the other script is not going to be able to interact with it smoothly. So we just call a public static bool, and we're going to call this bool open. I don't know if we can get any more simple than that. So now in our start function, we have to call the animator, and we have to call the component. Again, this is one of my common teeth grinders. I forget to call it up and start. So, door anim is equal to get component. Oh, there it is. And animator. Animator. And then we got to put our curly braces at the end, or parentheses, and our semicolon. Okay, so that lets the script know that the door anim is equal to the component from this object of animator. So now the easy part, so to speak. So we got an if statement. If open. Now, again, basic scripting 101, we don't have to put if open equal 0 or equal true. We just have to put if open. That's basically telling the script if the variable that we've set, the Boolean variable value is open, is true, it's going to run this script. We get our curly braces, and then all we have to do is activate our Boolean for our animator. So we go to door anim, and we're going to dot set bool, your parentheses, don't forget the quotation marks, and our Boolean value is d underscore open, and we comma, and we call it true. Again, semicolon. So, if the Boolean value open is true, it's going to open the door. That simple. Now I'm going to go one step further just to be sure, because I don't trust anything to chance, and I'm going to call open equals false in the start value. So when we start this script at the start of the level, it sets open to false, regardless of what happens. So now that that is false, we know the only thing it can go to is true. And until it goes to true, this function will not happen. So we have an idle door until we hit dopen, or until we hit, the open Boolean value. Very simple script. You don't need to get any more complicated than that. We're going to save that. And I'm just going to minimize that so I don't have to reopen it. So now our door is set up. So now there's many different ways that you can open a door. You can have the player input with an E key, whatever. I'm going to actually trigger this door to open on its own. The reason I'm going to do that is to add to the spooky factor of this jump scare. So, in order to create a trigger, I'm just going to right click, and I want to create a 3D object, and I want to make it a cube. And there's my cube. Now, that cube has set itself underneath door C for some reason. I don't want it there. I want it out here. So now I've got this little cube. That's not a big enough trigger, so we're going to size it up a bit. We do want it right in front of this door. And when working in dark environments, if you want to make sure that you can see everything, no, I don't want packages. Disable the lights. Now I can see everything I need to see. This helps me place objects a little bit more precisely in my darker environments because I am a horror guy. I've always got darkness. So now we're going to Make it like big enough so we know somebody's going to enter this thing. Okay? And we're going to pull it back just a little bit. Okay? So now we want to disable the mesh renderer, and we're going to make this collider is trigger. So now we need to program this script. Another very simple script. So new script. We're going to call it door trig. I like shortening things. I'm sorry. So now it's going to open up door trig. No, wait. What did I open that up for? Take me back to Unity. Edit script. There we go. Again. No more notes. We don't need we don't need no stinking notes. Okay. So, first things first. Call our stuff, you know, the usual. First thing we need for this is to hey, do we even need any values for this? No, we actually don't. Because we're calling the Boolean value from the other script. Wow, a script without variables. This is new. Okay, so, plain and simple. Okay, so, we're going to do a void on trigger enter. I love how it fills stuff in for you. It makes my job that much easier. And of course, the usual if statement. If other dot tag is equal to player, we are going to call this script, so door animation dot open, and that equals true. Voila. When our player enters said trigger, door opens. As I said, very simple script. I'm spoiling you with these simple scripts because the jump scare script itself is going to get a little bit more complicated. So now we just save that one. And we've got our door open. So we're going to test it out because I like to test things out. Okay. So we're going to come over here. Uh-oh. What's wrong? Oh, I forgot to tag my first person controller as player. Again, simple fix, and ooh, it worked. So now we have the first part done. We can enter the room. So now, we'll escape out of that. Now we're going to come back up into this room. So now, just because I'm lazy and don't like creating things over and over. First off, rename this cube to uh, door trigger. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to rename that to scare trigger. So we're going to come over here on scare trigger. We've got this all set up, but we need to remove the door trig because we only want that there. Okay? So now then, we've got that set. And so the next thing we need to do is actually set up our scare, which is going to be fun. So we're going to take the scare trigger. We don't want it in the same place. We want it on this side of the door. So as soon as you walk through the door, this happens. Now, I've done several different things with jump scares in the Deadly Maze. Sometimes I disable the player controls. Sometimes I leave them alone. It all depends on the situation. Now, for the purposes of this one, I'm going to leave them alone because, honestly, I don't know if you're going to be using the first-person controller from the standard assets or not. You could be using your own controller, and that just gets complicated. And I know how to disable the first-person controller through the script, but I have not yet. I haven't figured out anything else on how to do it under a more complicated scenario. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Now, if you want to disable your controller and you know how to do that, be my guest. It makes it that much easier to keep the player looking where you want him to, not have his eyes wander here, there, and everywhere. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we're just going to keep it as is. So we've got our trigger. Now we need to set up our script. Okay, whoops. Wait a second. Before we do that, we have one more animation to do. This guy here needs an animation. Now this animated skeleton you can get on Unity free of charge. It's a cute little skeleton. Actually, I don't recall if this was free or not. Anyway, if it wasn't free, it was really cheap. I don't think I've paid more than $3 for most of my assets. So, but it's already got an animator. It's already got an avatar. Now we're not going to use their animator controller because it's got different animations than the ones we want. We're going to create our own animation just because I love the way this animation works. And I have used it in my game. So let's create. We don't need an animator. Yeah, we need an animator controller. And we're going to call this sit. Figured out the animation yet? And then we're going to create a new animation. And we're going to call it sit up. So now we have sit, sit up. So sit gets attached to our animated skeleton. Sit up gets attached to our animator controller. And it's okay to have this one as the entry point. We don't need a placeholder for this one because we're going to set this to activate as soon as the skeleton goes active, which will not be until we activate it through our script. So this one can play on awake. So we don't need a boolean or anything like that. It's just going to automatically happen. But we do need to actually create the animation. So I'm going to show you on here. This is the pivot point that I want. Because if you notice at this pivot point, just sits up. Woo! Sorry. Got carried away there. My bad. So reset him to his normal position. So what we're going to do to sit this guy up, we're going to take this and we're going to move it to, using this, we're going to move it to 150, not 1500, 150. Hit enter. It's going to move it out there a good piece. Then we're going to take, in this one, we're just going to sit him up. Oh, whoop, 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 whoop. Hang on. Record. Click on the spine. Sit up. Right about there. Stop record. And, ooh boy, sit up. Okay, so make sure loop time is not enabled. Now, we want to get really fancy. We could put a little light in here to make it more spookier. I'm not going to put any lights in the eyes like I've done before, but you can add point lights and whatnot in to make it a little bit more spookier. For the purposes of this video, we're just going to have it sit up, and we're going to have it do a sound. So I need some audio, another audio source, and go back to assets. Now I've got these horror sound effects and these horror sound effects, and they're just, you know, these nice little stuff. So we want to find one that's going to sound good. Okay, so it's noise 34. Noise 34 kind of gives that spooky rise for you. So we're going to take that and we're going to attach it to the animated skeleton. So now, oops, didn't want to do that. It doesn't matter. It's just part of the skeleton. So, okay. Anyway, so we've got the noise. It's okay to have that play on awake and enabled because we're going to take the skeleton and we're going to disable the skeleton for now. Okay. Now, scare trigger, and we're going to add component, new skipped, and we're going to call this script, well, let's just call it Jumpscare. Okay, so Jumpscare is going to be our main script. This is going to take care of everything. And this one definitely going to have some variables to it. First of all, foremost, we need to make sure both our player cam and our zombie cam are called. So we're going to call a public game object, and we're going to call that player cam. We're going to call another one and we're going to call that ZomCam, just because I like shortening things. Then we're going to call another game object, This one we're going to call skeleton. Right? Now, we're going to call I think that's all we need for right now. If I need to call more, I can call more at a later time. Before we continue with this, let me just, oops, go here and do one tiny little thing to the zombie. The zombie is going to have a scary audio. Why a scary audio? Because it's a scare. It has to have a scary audio. So, give me an audio source. And I'm going back over here. And there it is. No, not that one. I always get confused with these two. Okay. Yep, it's that one. So we're going to put this on our zombie. Now, of course, you're going to get your own sounds, and he'll have screams and growls and whatever. These two sound effects are also on the Unity Asset Store for free, and they are fantastic. They're both really good sound effects, and they got several different things, and it's just a lot of fun to play around with some of the things you can do with them. So we've got the sounds done. Now back to scripting. All right, so we are not going to need either one of these. What we are going to need is a void for on trigger enter. And we're going to need that same if statement. If other dot tag is equal to player dude, and we're going to first things first, before anything else, we need to do two things. First of all, zombie is deselect, or zombie scare, excuse me, is deselected. So before we do anything else, we have to start the first part of the scare, which is the skeleton. So we're going to say skeleton dot set active, and we're going to call that true. So that's telling us that the skeleton is about to be set to active status, which enables its animation, its audio, and boom, bang, zap, it sits up. Now, here's the kicker. So we had it set to what, 200 or 150? How long is that animation going to take? So it's going to take about 2.5 seconds. Okay? So here's what we want to do. First of all, we need to start a coroutine. And we're going to call this coroutine we'll call it Slayer sequence. And then we're gonna. I notice there's little red squigglies under that, but there won't be for long. Just come down here, and we're gonna make IEnumerator, and we're going to call it scare sequence. Got a match. And then we're gonna put some curly braces in there. And first things first, once the skeleton's active, we need to yield, return, new, wait per seconds. And we're gonna wait per 2.0 f seconds. That's a float. That's just so we can, add 0.5 in there if we want to, if we see that we need to. And then underneath that, we're going to do player cam. What am I doing? Player cam, not cam dot set active false. I'm just not with it tonight. And then we're going to set Zomcam set active to true. So that switches our main camera to the Zomcam. It also activates the zombie to scare the ever-loving daylights out of you. And then we're going to wait for a couple more seconds while it scares the daylight out of you. I hate it when I do that. And we're going to do 2.0 F again. And after 2 seconds, we're going to do the opposite. Player cam, set active, true, not try you, not try, but true. And then the Zomcam, set active to false. And voila, we're back to our old selves again. The skeleton's now sitting up, but that's okay. Now, if we want to get rid of the skeleton, we can, but what I want to get rid of is I'm going to yield return new. Wait for seconds. And we're going to do 0.5 F and then semicolon. And then what we need to do is destroy this game object. That way we cannot trigger this event multiple times. As I've learned recently, you have to be very careful with that. So now we seem to have a working jump scare. Seem to have. Okay, so I got all that written. Go back over here to Unity. Give it a second to load that script up. Scare trigger. Now we've got these game objects. So we want the first person character, or whatever your main camera is, zombie scare, and skeleton. All set. We're already set as a player for the other one, so alright, so let's see what this looks like, shall we? Looking around. I'm going to move forward. Okay. That door just opened on its own. That's scary, man. What? Okay. That even got me. Well, isn't that special? Okay. So as you can see, we were very successful in our jump scare attempt. Now, you can play around with this. You can add some light. You can, in fact, here, let me show you. Okay, we're gonna just tweak our zombie just slightly. So let's um, let's enable the zombie scare cam and put our zombie up. Okay. All right. So here's what we want to do. Take the zombie and we're gonna create a point light. Now this is Patrick's advanced course. So we've added this point light, right? Now, if we take this point light, move it up just a hair, move it out here. Of course, lights aren't active right now, so let's turn the lights back on. Okay. Eh, what's all that? No, 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 no. Okay. Now, we want this to be red. Bright red. Alright. We don't want it to go out too far, just about to there. Uh, yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. So let's look at our camera, see what this looks like. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, that could be interesting, but I want to. So if we move that around just a little bit. Oh, yeah, there we go. See? Yeah, you see the effect that has, right? So let's disable this again. And click play. Okay. Need to move forward. Ooh. And voila. We have our jump scare, folks. Again, you can tweak this any way you want. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with this. It isn't even funny. Add some light to the skeleton, you know, put a spotlight on the skeleton that pops up as the skeleton's sitting up. There's literally many, many combinations. You just need to think outside the box. And that's really all it is. If y'all go over to GameJolt or itch.io, download the Deadly Maze demo, take a look. Look at some of my jump scares. Some of them are cheesy, some of them are corny, some of them look really freaky. Uh, there's even falling body parts that splat blood everywhere. You know, kind of bizarre, but there's so many different possibilities what you can do with this. And it's all just simple, basic event scripting. And at the end of the day, you know, if you can make it look good graphic wise, get good animations, good models, you can literally scare the ever-loving daylights out of somebody with little to no effort. And that's kind of where I've been moving towards with my game development. And I wanted to share this tutorial with y'all. So uh, go check out the demo. Definitely, you know, hit that like button, uh, hit that subscribe button. Um, I'm gonna be doing more tutorials. I'll be posting more videos. I just got a brand new setup. I got some really good software to record with. I got some really good editing software. Thanks to one of my favorite YouTubers, Corey Kenshin. He posted in his profile what he uses. I kind of copied that. Went and bought some good stuff. So I'll be posting some more videos. Look for some gameplay teasers. Heck, I'll bring you in on some of the development of the Deadly Maze itself. Uh, just keep on the lookout for that. So like it, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, go to my Facebook page, go download the demo. Uh, just keep in touch because I'm going to be bringing some good things out here for you guys. Tutorials, gameplay videos, final release of the game, some more games, you name it. I'm there. I'm loving this so much. I'm having so much fun. I don't want to stop. So support me and keep supporting me, and I'll keep bringing you some awesome stuff. So thank y'all for watching. Appreciate it. Uh, I'm gonna go get some more stuff done on the game. So thank y'all, and peace out. This is Patrick with Horrified Gaming. I'm out of there.